Hello, welcome to the G.I. Joe New News Classified Reviews. My name is David T. Allen, or if you would like, Super Dave 817. If you would like to see more of this content, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification button for future videos. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the G.I. Joe New News Classified Review. I am David Allen, or if you'd like, Super Dave. We are here with our next classified review, and that is 131 Storm Shadow version 2. I don't know if you guys figured that out with the clues that I gave the other day, but Storm Shadow 2 is my favorite version of Storm Shadow. So I want to also say thank you to everybody in the chat for joining me today, and good morning. So we're going to get right into Storm Shadow version 2. We have a lot of things going on soon. I want to make sure I get all those announcements at the end of this video for you guys. So let's start this off with, of course, Dan Klingesmith's series of books, Creating G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero by Dan Klingesmith Jr. So this is volume 11. So we very seldom get reviews in the later volumes, but there's some really, really cool stuff in the later volumes. One of these days, I think I'm going to go through the 14th and 15th volumes and do some videos with you guys and showcase some of the unproduced things and things that were so close that we almost got, and then things that were way off, and then some really crazy stuff. But first, we're talking about Storm Shadow version 2. There he is. Some really cool artwork, some pencil artwork on the right there, and then the figure on the left with that techno camouflage, which I really like that, actually. It's one of my favorite things about this figure. It looks really cool. And the design of this version of the figure looks really cool as well. And that's why it's one of my favorites. Let's see. Alternate names NA, year release 1988, designed by Mark Pennington. Mark Pennington took over the design job after Ron Rudat. He started in, I believe, 87 and worked through 89 with a lot of the figures that came out. The presentation art was done by George Woodbridge, one of the presentation artists, along with people like Dave Dorman. So then you have the all the different versions of the figure down there on the corner, the left-hand corner, and the techno camouflage design on the left as well. And let's see what Dan had to say about Storm Shadow version 2. Wearing a grappling hook across his chest and carrying explosives in the pouches around his waist, Mark designed Storm Shadow in his traditional white garb and added urban camouflage to it. He gave him modernized ninja weapons that he could use against his former employer, Cobra. And you can see on that arm there on the right, he's got the Arashikage symbol. And so in that blurb, they said against his former employer, Cobra. So Storm Shadow in this guise was more of an independent contractor, or he helped G.I. Joe in a lot of their ninja missions, and Snake Eyes and Scarlet and Jinx and Budo and Nunchuck and Dojo and all those guys in different missions that they would infiltrate different bases and things like that. So he became kind of a good guy in this new version, Storm Shadow version 2. So then let's get into his packaging. And so here's his beautiful packaging right here on the right, which really jumped out at me as like, holy cow, they're really updating this figure quite a bit for this new figure. I like, and that's one of the reasons why I liked it as well. And it immediately jumped out as one of my favorites from 88, definitely, but one of the later year figures as well. And then his first appearance was Version 2 was G.I. Joe 96, Real American Hero from the 80s, and written by Larry Hama. This is, I think it's part 3 of the Origin of Snake Eyes, which this is a really cool miniseries, The Origin of Snake Eyes. And it's a really cool cover. It's one of my favorite covers. Whenever they show ninjas and Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes doing some cool stuff, and it also, I think, has my favorite version of Snake Eyes on it too, in that costume. I think that's my version 3 Snake Eyes. So this is a really good story. I really enjoyed that story, and it a lot of the stuff in the 90s and the past 100s were really cool stories. There was a lot of good stuff in that time frame with the characters. A lot of stories that I enjoyed a lot came out from that period. So then we have the vintage figure. And we've showed this off several times in my favorite Cobras and favorite Joe character videos. But here he is again. He's got his sword with his in that little sheath on the side of the backpack, his red backpack, and his bow there. And he's got that urban camouflage that looks really cool. And it's all white and gray. And I like that hood. This was one of the better figures in that time frame, in my opinion. It just looked really, really cool. Super 7 ended up doing an Ultimates version of this at through their line in, I think it was a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive, and they did not include the hood for some reason. I don't know why. They redecoed the Storm Shadow that they had already did into this version, but they didn't include that hood, so it didn't quite make the mark when it came to this figure. And I've always wanted them to do like an accessories pack or something that you could include that hood in that accessories pack so you can get it for that figure, because it really doesn't make the figure look accurate without that hood on. You know, he's not supposed to be the regular Storm Shadow. He's supposed to be a different Storm Shadow, and I think the hood really helps. Hi, Clement. Good morning. Thanks for joining us today. Good morning. So that's one of the things about the Super 7 Ultimates version that I didn't really care for that much. It was very close to this, with the exception of that hood. I wish they could have given him that. And that was a choice by Big Bad Toy Store not to include that hood, which Brian Flynn said he was just doing what the client wanted. They're the ones that commissioned that figure, and so that's why he did it that way. And he follows what the clients want. So that one is very close to perfect, except for that one little part. And then, there may have been a 4-inch version. I can't recall. There might have been. I think there was a 4-inch Storm Shadow version. That was in the club, and I don't have it yet, but I would like to get it. It's one of my favorite versions of Storm Shadow. So then we get to the classified version, 131. And like I've been saying all along, we've been doing these figures in order from 00 Snake Eyes. Now we're up to 131 with Storm Shadow version 2. And it looks really cool. I think looking at the eyes and looking at the claws and looking at the Arashikage and all that extra stuff that they added, he looks really cool in this artwork. But when you get him out into the figure, it doesn't quite meet the standard of this beautiful artwork, in my opinion. But we'll get into that as we go. So then we have the QR code, the target artwork, and the designations. So we're going to look at the designations. We're going to see where Storm Shadow falls on that. So we have I think the skull, which is covert ops. We have the dagger, which I think is bladed weapons. Yep, bladed weapons. Then we have that. I think it's the infiltration, and then we have the covert ops. So let's see. We have the bladed weapon. We have the covert ops. We have infiltration, and then we have the throwing star in the face, which I believe is his ninja operations, if I'm not mistaken. We've had that a couple times. Yeah. So then that's that. And then let's see. So we have those. And then we have the Shooting the Galaxy. Hey, good morning, Terrence Child. Thanks for joining us. Hope you guys had a wonderful holiday this week. Do you have classified version of Duke? Yes, I do. I have several classified versions of Duke. They did so they did the first one, which is like number 3, I think, number 2 or number 3 Duke in the classified line. And then they did a running variant. So those Dukes were a little more classified up for a more technical, advanced, futuristic type aesthetic. And then they did the Tiger Force Duke after that. And then they did a vintage packaged retro style Duke that is his first version. So they've done 1, 2, 3, 4 Dukes so far in the line. I don't think there's been any other Dukes yet, Terrence Child. Those are the only 4 classified Dukes. So back to Storm Shadow. So then we have the photography artwork by Shooting the Galaxy and Matt and Mike, I think. I kept calling him Alex, but it's Matt and Mike. And then those 2 call-outs, again, like the artwork on Dan's book with the Arashikage and the figure with the Arashikage, and then the hooded cowl there call-out. Let's see if there's anything in the background of this. I thought there was somebody in the background, but I don't see them in this. It's a beautiful piece of artwork. It looks really cool. It looks like the Arashikage temple is on fire. It kind of looks like the scene in the Snake Eyes origin movies where Storm Shadow was helping them and the Arashikage village was going up in flames. That's what this kind of looks like. But I don't see anybody hiding back there. Sneaky, hidden people back there. So that is that artwork. And then we go back around to the front and we get the figures loadout and a view of the figure itself. So let's get this opened up. Like I said earlier, we've been opening these up from 00 Snake Eyes all the way up. Now we're up to 131. And we've done 20 retro vintage package figures, and we've done what's in there? Okay. And then we've done 3 60th anniversary legacy figures so far. So now we're on 131. Okay. We have the Stars and Stripes inside. There. Over there. We have this little extra piece that was holding the sword there. All right, so right out of the package, I have to tell you, I do have some issues with this. It definitely has the same design aesthetic. It looks very similar to the vintage version. Looks very similar. There's one major call out that I have to say. There's too much red on this. The vintage one had only slight little deco of red with his backpack and his sword and the Arashikage. Well, but they've really done the red up on this one. They've added a lot of red design on this, on the legs there, on the hilts of the sheaths on this side with the ropes on this side as well there, and a little bit of rope on these little touch-ups on his gi there, and the grappling hook. And of course, there's the red on the Arashikage. I think maybe we could have gotten a different color on that. Maybe use a darker gray and cut out some of the red. I'm not happy with that red, as much red on this. He does have the pouches like he did on the vintage one. He has the pouches, he has the rope, he has the hood, he's got the difference is where they did all the white deco on the vintage on the boots. It's gray and black and red and all kinds of different colors on those boots. They changed that up, and they gave him a lot more armor. So his skirt there is all armor, and it's silver and it's gray and it's red, and he's got those knives on the side there, hanging off the side there, and he's obviously got the sheaths on this side, part of the armor as well. They made him a little bit more like a samurai kind of a character, and I've never thought of Storm Shadow as a samurai type character. I've always thought of him as like a stealth ninja that was a silent ninja that could do all kinds of stuff and be in places that no one else could get to. Obviously, the urban camouflage is perfect. It goes all the ways around the body, and they have the arms rolled up there like they do in the vintage, and you can see the eyes in there on with the hood there. The deco the deco on the face and the face printing are really, really good. I think this hood does come off. I think you have to take the head off and then the hood will come off. We'll check that out in a minute. Clement. The figure is very beautiful. Thank you very much, Clement. Storm Shadow is a really nice figure. He really is overall. I wanted him to be a little bit more like the vintage one, less red. I wonder if I can take this belt off, and then I wouldn't have that on there, and maybe it would resemble that one a little bit more. I don't know. There's also another armor piece up here underneath the rope that's got some silver armor there. So I'll say they balanced all the colors really nicely. I just think it's got too much red on it. So he's got all the normal articulation points. He's got the butterflied shoulders, double pinned elbows, double pin knees. He's got the foot rocker. He's got the thigh, the calf. He's got the wrist articulation. Let's see if he's got the secondary. No, he does not have the secondary wrist. He does not even have the secondary articulation in the wrist. So he's missing 2 articulation points. He does have the ab crunch underneath there. And if you look under here, he does have the crotch and the leg articulation. So he's got most of the different articulation points that he needed. I would have given him the extra wrist one. That's just me because of the nature of the figure. And I might have even given him the secondary wrist one if I was them. But only a handful of figures have gotten that thus far. But it looks really good. He's got the secondary ankle articulation. Most figures do, unless it's like a female one. Very few female ones have that. All right, let's get some of the accessories out of here. So let's see. We have his backpack, and they changed. I think maybe that's why they added more red onto the figure, is because the backpack is black, and they made it all black, and there's no deco hits on that. Clement, very beautiful artwork on the figure. Yeah, it is. You're right. So the vintage one, the backpack was red. So maybe that's why they took the red and they added it to the figure more to give you that call out of that red, possibly. I don't know. But I'm going to put this on him. It's going to be tricky because he's got that armor piece and he's got the rope going across his back. So I'm going to see if this will stay in there without any trouble. Yeah, it looks like it does. And he's got a lot of little things where you can hook up stuff to the backpack. He's got the arrows and a lot of those little spots to hang stuff and hold stuff. So we'll start putting all of his equipment on there. So then he's got these really cool claws, these climbing claws that I like a lot. They're kind of like the Wolverine claws, which I think are really cool. I love it when characters come with like these type of things because it really makes a really fun fighting type thing that you can do with them. So we're gonna probably put one on one of his hands, I think, and then I'll leave one off, and we'll see where the other one will go. Let's see if I can get that in there. All right, so I have to get his thumb. There's his thumb. All right, so these claws are giving me a little bit of a hard time. Let's see. And there's a little bit of stress on that hand there as well. All right, I got it on there. So I got that claw on there. So he can do his climbing and stuff like that. So I'll put the other claw away later and see if it will go on his backpack. Actually, now that I have his backpack on there, I could probably check that out to see if that'll go. No, I don't think it'll go on there. So let's see. So then we have his big bow and arrow, similar to the one he had in his vintage figure. We've seen this bow and arrow a few different times already with different figures, with the ninjas, the blue ninjas, the red ninjas, probably different Storm Shadows, maybe even Nunchuck. I'm not entirely sure. So let me see where this can go. I guess I'll put it in his hand. I'm going to put the bow and arrow in his hand, in this hand. Let's see. There. So I've got his bow and arrow in that hand, there. And I got a claw in that hand. So then he's got two swords, and he's got a double sheath that's on the side of his armor. So we'll just put these two swords in there out of the way. And they both have a red hilt on them. See that red hilt on that sword? And the same with this one. So he's got two swords with red hilts. There you go. So I'm going to put those in his sheath on the side here. One and two there. So you can see the two swords in there. Let's see. Then I'm wondering if these clasps can, if he can hold them there, on there, because there's these two little clasps. Yeah, I guess he can hold his claws on there. So I put one of the claws there, and I think if we wanted to hold the bow and arrow, we could probably put that on there. There's two little peg hooks on the back of the backpack to hold the bow and arrow if we needed to, and he wanted to use his sword or something else. But for now, I've got it, his sword's in the sheath, and I got that on there. So then we have a set of 4 different hands, an additional set of hands with him, if we can get them out. These hands are not that easy to get out. Wow, they're in there good. Let's see if I can get some of the ones on this side off. I don't know. I may have to try to cut this package to get these hands out because they are in there really, really good. Excuse that noise. Wow. I didn't realize these were going to be that difficult to get out. All right, so I got one hand out. It's the one with the palm there. And then let's see. And then I got one of the fists there. And then now let's see if we can get these other ones out. There. Second fist. And then let's see. We have his other palm hand there. Whew, that was tricky getting all those out of there. So I don't think I'm going to use those hands, but that's a problem that I have, is where they give him these things, and I don't think they're necessary for this figure, because he's got the claws and he has the gripping hands, and I think that's really all he needs. I don't think he needs a set of fists and a set of palm hands, because you have no place to store those hands on this figure. So I don't know. I have some issues with some of the accessories on this. They did all right with the paint apps and the design deco and balancing of the figure and stuff like that. I don't like the armor, and I don't like the extra hands on him. I think it's too much. But I do like the different balancing of the armor and stuff. Like on the feet, you can see the armor with the black and the gray with the little touch-ups of the red rope there. And he's got the puffy pants that he had on the vintage. He's got the curved, those little ninja type boots there that are kind of curved. If you look at that one, you can almost have him like standing on one foot, kind of balancing to do that scene in the package where he's kind of doing that bow and arrow scene in the vintage package. So we can kind of do that with the feet. He's got a bunch of explosive pouches and stuff that the vintage one had. They were just a lot less obtrusive on him. And I like the camo. They did a really good job with the urban camo on this, going all the ways around the body and stuff. And I think if you take the hood off, the head off, let's see, there, you probably get the hood out, and you can mix and match this figure and do it slightly different. It might be glued on there. Actually, it is glued on, so you can't take the hood off. Actually, I think that's a mistake. I think it would have been cool to have the option to remove that and to play around with the different style of this. And I think it would have been cool to have that armor also come off. So I don't think the modular ability is there with this figure as it should be. A lot of the accessories, I think, are either too much or not enough in certain circumstances, like the hood. But it's fine. It's an okay figure, but it doesn't stand up to my vintage one, which I like the most out of these. What do you guys think? Terrence Childs, Clement, do you guys think they did a good job with this? Or do you think they could have improved on this figure a little bit better? I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased because it's one of my favorite figures or versions of figures or whatever, but I don't know. I have to think about it, I guess. So this is in the middle of the pack. I won't say terrible, but I won't say like phenomenal either. It really had the potential to be the figure of the year for this year if they just took it down a little bit on some of the stuff and added a little bit in other places. But that's just me. All right, so there's Storm Shadow version 2. So he can't stand, so I'll just stick him there for now. Let's see, what else? We're going to be doing our top favorite items, G.I. Joe comics and toys and stuff on Toy Talk Live this afternoon at 2 o'clock. So if you guys would like to check that out, it'll be with my co-host Dan Thompson and Terry Ruin. And then I have already worked out a plan with Woody to do my top 10 classified items of the year for 2025. That video might be tonight or it might be tomorrow night. It's going to be very, very soon here. And Woody's going to be joining us from the chat. Woody's going to be coming on and being live with me. And we're going to talk about all our favorite things for this year. So I really look forward to chatting with Woody and having a good time. Clement, very Dave, the figure looks like a stormtrooper. Yeah, it does kind of look like a stormtrooper because it's all white and has all this armor and everything. It does look like a stormtrooper in that vein. You're right. And they've been making different stormtroopers that have more armor like that, very similar. So I agree with you, Clement, on that one. So our next video is a new character, another new character. We're going to be doing all new characters all week long with classified reviews this week, leading up to New Year's. And then after our top 25 video, we should have another comic burst coming up shortly after that. And I would like to talk about all that unproduced stuff. I really want to talk about a lot of that stuff. I think you guys would find that fascinating. Some of the things that were possibly on the cusp of getting made but didn't, and things that were in the design stage and things a little further down the line. That could have happened if Kenner hadn't come in and gotten the brand and did what they did with G.I. Joe Extreme and so on and so forth, because there was a bunch of fun stuff that came after this ended, but there was a lot of really cool things that I like. So I'd like to do a couple of those videos as well in the future. I think you guys would really enjoy some of that stuff. So I hope you enjoyed my Storm Shadow version 2 deep dive. I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday weekend so far, and I look forward to seeing you in our next videos. Thank you, everybody that joined me in the chat today. Thank you, everybody that watches after the fact on the replay crew as well. You guys are making this channel what it is, and without you, I wouldn't be able to do this because it would just be boring hearing me talk to myself all day. So thanks for getting involved, adding to the conversation, and being part of the channel. We're very close to our 200 subscribers, and we're very close to our 250th episode. So we'll also be doing a couple special episodes for those as well. So there's a whole bunch of fun things coming down the road, and you never know when there's going to be new news and classified information for us to reveal. So we'll get that out as soon as we get it. If you haven't, check out my Christmas episode. That was yesterday. All my cool Christmas haul fun stuff that I got for Christmas. And I think that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys again. This is a really cool G.I. Joe video with Storm Shadow. So we're going to go with Yo Joe. See you next time.